From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, April the 11th, 2024. Israeli troops continued their ground operation in Gaza, battling terror group Hamas, destroying terror infrastructure and eliminating terrorists, conducting a number of targeted airstrikes along central Gaza's coastline last night, the IDF said. And in a separate airstrike, the IDF said today it eliminated a terrorist who was involved in the funding of Hamas's terror activity. The IDF saying he was involved in the central financing of Hamas's military activities in Rafah and even transferred hundreds of thousands of dollars during the month of last December in favor of military activities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited an Israeli Air Force base today where he addressed the ground operation in Gaza, as well as other threats Israel faces. He told the Air Force personnel, "We are in challenging times. We are in the midst of the war in Gaza, which is continuing at full force, even as we are continuing our relentless efforts to return our hostages." However, the Prime Minister said we are also prepared for scenarios involving challenges in other sectors. We have determined a simple rule: whoever harms us, we will harm them. We are prepared to meet all of the security needs of the State of Israel, both defensively and offensively. Senior IDF officials held a meeting yesterday on increasing coordination and cooperation on the issue of humanitarian aid to Gaza, sitting down with representatives of the international community from United Nations agencies, the Red Cross, the IMC, USAID, and the American Humanitarian Coordinator. IDF International spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari also shared some of the new measures being taken by the IDF to increase aid going into Gaza via land, air, and sea, and enable the distribution of that aid, which is often impeded by Hamas, and working with international partners like CENTCOM, U.S. Central Command, on these initiatives.
We are constructing the northern crossing, a new land crossing from Israel into northern Gaza, to enable more aid to flow directly to civilians in the areas that have been challenging for the trucks to access. We are cooperating with the United States Central Command in building a temporary floating pier on the coast of Gaza Strip, enabling aid to reach Gaza directly by sea. This humanitarian effort shows the depths of the United States-Israel strategic partnership and the shared values of our two nations.
And the head of CENTCOM, U.S. Central Command, General Michael Kurilla, arrived in Israel today, where he will be meeting with senior Israeli officials. The IDF also continues to defend its northern border with Lebanon. Rockets were fired from Lebanon yesterday at northern Israel in Kiryat Shmona and surrounding towns. No injuries were reported. Earlier today, the IDF said Air Force fighter jets attacked a military building in southern Lebanon where a terrorist from the Hezbollah terrorist organization was staying, saying during the day an armored force fired to remove a threat in another area. Hundreds of residents of Oldenberg, Germany, Jews and non-Jews, came out to show their support for the Jewish community there after a synagogue in Oldenberg was targeted last Friday. The JTA reports that a Molotov cocktail was thrown against the door of the synagogue, causing damage but no injury. Police are investigating the incident. The JTA also noted that the day before the arson attempt, Oldenburg police said that parents of a local Jewish student filed charges after two young men threatened her on her way to school, reportedly trying to hold her and shouting anti-Semitic slurs. The girl, who police said was wearing a yellow ribbon for the hostages held in Gaza, was able to get herself free and get to school safely. Well, British journalist and author Douglas Murray was honored yesterday for his advocacy on behalf of Israel, especially since the October 7th Hamas massacre. Murray, who has spent some 19 weeks in Israel since the atrocities and has met with Israel's leaders as well as with hostage families, was presented a special award by Israel's President Isaac Herzog and the Diaspora Affairs Minister Amichai Chikli for his tireless work and for being a friend to the Jewish people and fighting the resurgence of anti-Semitism. The Jerusalem Post cited President Herzog, saying that since October the 7th, the rise in anti-Semitism globally and the surge of hatred against Jews have debunked the myth that there's a practical difference between toxic anti-Zionism and toxic anti-Semitism. But we, the Jewish people, Herzog said, and our friends worldwide did not remain silent. Douglas Murray has been at the forefront, articulating a coherent, intelligent, and persuasive defense of Israel and of the truth, and our shared values. And for that, expressing our gratitude is both right and appropriate. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, April the 11th at 7 o'clock. Hear from Hila Berdichevsky, a survivor of the October 7th massacre, on FIDF Live. At 8, Ambassador Deborah Lipstadt speaks to Rabbi Angel Buchdahl about the rise in Jew hatred since October the 7th. At 9, Peter Yarrow is on L'chaim. Coming up next, I speak with former Israeli ambassador to the US Danny Ayalon about how Israelis are feeling at the 6-month mark since the October 7th massacre, about U.S.-Israel relations, and what it feels like to be a Jew in America right now. That also replays tonight at 10. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, April the 11th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.